But the gist of it is that the environment you are in will create the culture in you, or will create a culture in you.
Yeah. And we're live. And we're live. And we're live. We're live.
That was supposed to be a foghorn.
Yeah, it didn't sound like foghorn.
No, that was more like a cow or a moose.
Yeah,
Lucky guys, what's happening?
Yo,
Good
yo.
to see you again.
Welcome. I
Um,
can't see
Today?
myself on the screen here, so
it's a little wire.
there's wires in my face.
That's so funny. So yeah, Lucky, this week we're going to be talking about the environment
Yeah.
you live in and the culture
Culture.
that your environment creates. Okay,
Yeah.
so Brandon and I have literally been speaking for like the last hour, and we're going to
Off
try and
camera.
we're going to try and summarize it quickly in like 10 or 15 minutes for you guys. But the gist of it is that the environment you are in will create the culture in you, or will create a culture in you, like a certain culture. So let's say you're in an environment where, like, let's say Facebook, for instance, because although it's not a physical environment, it's a mental environment that you go into,
It's
and
like
you
this
scroll,
world.
and there's an exposure of something that you get. So you get ads. So now I need to get new shoes, and oh wow, check at this, and check
That's so
Fred
cheap,
over
isn't it?
there
Yeah, exactly.
got a new bucky, and everyone's got new buckies, and now everyone they've got a bike, and they went hunting, and now you want a new bucky. You want new shoes, you want new clothes, you want hiking stuff, you want new guns, because this is the exposure, this is the environment you're in, and it's creating a culture in you that is not necessarily godly. And then in our conversation, we got to the conclusion that when God put Adam and Eve in the garden, there was a certain environment that they had, and they chose, because we have free will, they chose to change or go against God, and then their environment changed, and then they became slaves to sin. Just like right through the Old Testament, people were slaves to sin. That's what they had to do, like animal sacrifices, and there was a whole bunch of stuff that God had to make them do in order to be righteous and in His place, because they were slaves to sin. And then, they were slaves to sin because of their environment. They were in a fallen world. And then Jesus came, and He gave us an opportunity to go into a new environment, because now we can, like we've been saying for the last 2 weeks, you can walk with Him and dwell with Him in the garden of your heart, because now it's a new environment. And as you spend time with God, as you spend time with Jesus and the Holy Spirit, and He guides you and leads you, your culture changes. And that's what we need to do in this world, because we need to change culture.
Exactly.
We need to go against the tide,
That's why Jesus said to His disciples, stop what you're doing and come follow me.
Yes.
Get out of the environment you're in to be in the environment I'm in. And I mean, we know the young rich ruler. The young rich ruler said, "What do I need to do to be like you?" Whatever. He said, "Give up everything you've got, leave your friends, your family, and follow me, and let's go change the world." And that young ruler couldn't do it. He couldn't give up that environment he was in. Exactly. And I think, and I mean, same. The fishermen were told to stop. I mean, they were told to stop that. I'm going to make you fish of men. I feel like that maybe was just a way to say, look, you're going to do a similar thing. You're going to attract, but stop what you're doing. Get out of this environment where you have to earn money, pay this. Come with me. There's a great. I love this. There's a great depiction in. There's a spoiler for those who might not have seen it in The Chosen. I don't know if you've seen that. You only know a little bit of it, So there's this great scene where, in the later season, where Jesus tells the disciples, "Listen, we're going to make a feast for these people. There's a family I want to bless, so make food for them. So go, sends them out each bucket list. Go and buy this. Go and get these nuts. Go and get that meat. Go and buy this material or whatever." And He sends them all out. And poor old Matthew, the tax collector, who's running the finances, is like freaking out because all the money's going, and comes back and he's like, "But this is all the money. Like, there's no more money." And Jesus is like, just I want to feed these people. It will be fine. And that's I feel like that's just I literally had that thought. I was reminded of that now. It's such a cultural thought. Like, Jesus is going, it's fine.
He'll provide.
I've got this. Let's just bless these people. And the culture they were in is like, no, you've got to save this money. You've got to, he had to physically change their culture, their understanding of what money and whatever
he
was.
a tax collector. He was in a certain environment which made him, or which gave him a culture and a view of money that was not necessarily the same view that Jesus had, because Jesus was in a different environment.
Jesus is like, spend it because God will provide. Spend it, He will provide, so we can do this. Matthew's going, no, save it. We've got a long journey ahead of us. Save it. We've got days worth of walking, and we need somewhere to stay. And Jesus is like, just spend it, bro. God will provide.
It doesn't matter, because Jesus was actually in that environment. And that, just now as we're talking, it makes so much sense, because sometimes you get those pastors who really have nothing, and I think it's because they're trying to they're living in the environment of a fallen world, in an environment that is not godly, and they are saying, no, it's fine, God will provide.
Yeah.
Thinking like, okay, well, I'll have faith because the Bible says that I'll have faith. Yes. But in order for God to actually provide, you need to, in order for you to actually believe that, and to walk in that, you have to be in that environment. You have to spend time with Him. You have to understand who He is. And like it says in John, I have to be in you and you will have to be in me. And then you will bear fruit.
Exactly. The two go together.
Yeah.
And I think, so I think it's...
Yeah, you need to be in that environment. Wow,
Jesus called people out to be... And that's why He says of us, we must be in the world but not of the world.
Yeah.
So we are here, but we're not, or put it this way, maybe we are in the environment, we're not of the culture, or maybe, I'm trying to find the right way to phrase it, but it makes sense. You can't be living in that culture that we've got to create a new culture.
Well, let's use this as an example. If you had to go to America, and you're spending now time there with the southern guys, and they're frying chicken, and they're doing their thing, whatever, you are in the south of America, but you're not of there. Yeah. Your culture is different.
Exactly.
You can be in that environment.
Correct.
You can be in that, but the environment that's in your heart and the culture that you that's created in you is completely different to that culture.
Exactly.
And I think that's what Jesus meant. That like we need to know we are not in this world. Well, we are in this world, but we're not of this world. Yeah. Because we actually live from heaven.
Yeah.
And that's why I said, like, the kingdom of God is at hand.
Exactly.
It's now in your heart.
Yeah. So, and we were saying on that as well, like it says that in the Bible it says that Jesus ushered in the kingdom of God by feeding the hungry, clothing the naked, healing the sick. There was an action to that. So you can't change your culture or your environment if you're sitting still doing nothing.
Yes, 100%.
About it. Yeah. I hate the fact that, for example, in my environment, everyone is telling me, that every 3 months I need a new cell phone, I need this, and I have to eat Woolworths. And I have to, otherwise I don't look. If I don't stop buying Woolworths, I'm not going to change it.
100%.
If I don't stop buying new cell phones, I'm not going to change that.
Or unless you change the environment, even just like in your heart, because oftentimes we create this environment in our heart of keeping up with the Joneses.
Exactly.
Or you have to like the latest tech, and you need that.
Exactly.
And then that bears fruit in your life that is not necessarily godly. And there's nothing wrong with having the latest iPhone. There's nothing wrong with Facebook either.
It requires a lot of you. So, for example, I'm not an iPhone guy, so I'm Samsung. I want a Samsung Note. Oh, that's amazing. Samsung Note is 2,000 a month, which means I have to work harder to earn more to pay for that.
Yeah.
But I can't
and then we're back to the rush. And
exactly, and the culture. Exactly. I want to change it. I want to break that. I want to get slow. I want to slow down in my life. What have I got to do?
Yeah.
Physically make a change.
Yeah.
Change my culture.
Yeah. What is the end goal? What are we trying to achieve here on earth? Are we trying to get rich? Are we trying to live a fun life?
Yeah.
Are we trying to build memories for our old day to reminisce over?
Yeah, exactly.
Or are we trying, and nothing's wrong with any of those things.
Yeah,
like
I was about to say, we're not, this is literally not about saying you mustn't be rich.
If you live off R1 million a month and you have this very luxurious life, bless you. That is
good
awesome.
For you. Yeah.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
But what I'm trying to say is that you need to not have, you need to be connected to God. You need to have a culture where you can be used by God, and ultimately the goal is not to build up enough wealth for your old day, or to build up memories for your old day, or whatever like that, to live a full life or whatever. The ultimate goal is to be obedient to God and get into heaven, and God going, yes, Brandon, you did good, you did you did good. Flippin', come in.
Yeah.
Not that God's going to say flippin', but you understand what I'm saying.
Very well.
Yeah. Like, Hendrik, You did well.
Yeah.
Come in.
Yeah,
You know, that's the goal.
Yeah.
That's what we want to do. We want to be obedient to Him and live out a life here on earth, because we were created in His image to shine. We meant to shine in this world. We are supposed to be the image of God.
Exactly.
People look at other people and they go, "You are the image of the devil," because some people really are.
Yeah.
You know, even Christians sometimes look like the image of the devil.
I think we also need to. I think you, me, you, everyone. I mean, I have done this and I have shared this before as well. You need to ask God, what environment do I need to be in? What culture do you want me to be in? So, and if I'm in this environment, does it mean I lose out on a whole bunch of things?
Yeah.
As myself, for example, I haven't had that. I felt, that God is always wanted me to be a culture setter or a culture changer or whatever. I want to build a culture that's different. And not like I just want to be different from everyone. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is I am in education, I live in town, I'm in church, I'm doing those type of things. I don't need a big bucky.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with the bucky, and if I could afford one, maybe I would have. Not even, because at the moment I can't afford one. So he's saying, what do you need?
Yeah.
Do I have a family? No, so I don't need a big car, because I'm not carrying, my wife and my 12 kids around, and so I don't need a bus. Yeah. So I would be driving the combi myself, all by myself. I'd be driving the big bucky all around all by myself.
Yeah, there are other things that are more important.
Do I need a big house? Okay, so maybe that's fine. House, maybe there's a bit more space I need because I've got another dog or whatever the story is. But what kind of what kind of culture do you want to live in? Yeah. What culture and that will also determine your circumstances. Will determine your It doesn't mean you miss out. Yeah. I still got to go hunting.
Yeah. Yeah, it doesn't mean
I still got to enjoy things. I still to hike.
God will make a way.
It's not like, you want to go hunting, you need a bucky.
Yeah.
And that's what the world teaches us.
I have been, just because I like hunting.
Yeah.
And it's a real hobby for me. I've really my guns are not nice guns. They are working guns. Yeah. They work. They're accurate, but they're on the price wise bottom of the range.
Yeah.
But because I love it, there are other people who have a lot more finance than me that have invited me on hunts, all expenses paid, because they know I love guns and they want me to be there, and it's like that and whatever. And so it's not like we're saying don't miss out or anything. God will make a way. God sees our heart.
Exactly.
And He wants to he'll humor us, And cool. Hunting is cool.
And He'll put you in positions. I mean, I've always been, I'm an African completely. I love Africa, South Africa.
Yeah.
If I had to leave South Africa for whatever reason, I'd find another African country to go to.
Namibia.
Yeah,
Botswana.
That's what I'm saying. I really liked Zambia.
Yeah, Zambia is
very nice, beautiful, and very friendly.
Yeah.
And also Kenya is always, but that's side notes there for you. But I lost my train of thought. My side note said, I know what I was going to say. When I was 16 years old, God allowed me or sent me on a mission trip. On a trailer, travelled Africa. I went, it driven once, I didn't fly. Yeah. We drove through South Africa, Botswana, Zambia, Malawi, Mozambique, Swaziland, back in South Africa, 3-week journey or whatever. Yeah. Because of the culture and the space that I was in. Yeah. I was in church, I was in that, I was meeting with those kind of people, I was there, that church does those kind of things.
And those opportunities arise.
The opportunity was there, and God was like, you know what, this is the right place for you to send you. And I didn't have what I needed. Yeah. I mean, the Sunday night when the youth pastor came to me and said, I feel like you should go on a mission trip, I didn't have an ID book. I was 16. I hadn't got my ID book yet. I didn't have a passport. By Tuesday, on the Sunday evening, by Tuesday evening, I had a full ID, full passport, just through connections with people in the church that came because they heard I was going to go on this trip.
Yeah.
God, it's not only He does. What did you say now? He does allow us to do things or humor us, but not only that, He does also put us in the place. He knows. All right, that was a life-changing trip. I haven't been back on that trip. It's more than 16 years ago that I went on that trip. Yeah. But I still can remember it like it was yesterday. Yeah. I still remember the emotions of seeing the different countries and I mean, we didn't just go on a trip. We went to, there was a conference in Malawi where they met with the pastors and so on and so forth. So there was value to that as well.
It's amazing. And that's the thing. If we spend time finding out what environment God has for us, if we spend time in the environment that He creates or helps us create, and we spend time with Him, the culture in our life changes, and the people that are around us they change, or we have certain people that have the same culture.
Exactly.
And that's what we are called to do, is change let it be on earth as it is in heaven.
Yeah.
So let the culture that is inside of me,
Exactly.
that I can walk with God in the garden of my heart,
Yeah.
let that overflow into this world, so that when Facebook has a malfunction or whatever, and no one can access Facebook for 13 minutes, I'm unfazed, you know.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying like I'm not like anti-Facebook. I have Facebook and I scroll on it on my laptop, whatever. But I've had to put certain things in place where I don't sit there and scroll time, like for hours and wasting time, you know, because that's not a culture that I want to be in, and that's not an environment, because there's a lot of things on Facebook that you don't want to shape your culture. So.
Any social media,
Yeah.
I think also, out of that space of, if you're in that place where you're walking with God in your heart, out of that desire and experience, because of that environment you're in, things, desire to have your friends become Christians, or your family members, or will grow, because you know how you're receiving from the Lord, how you are sharing in His joy. I want others to share in His joy. Which might mean less Facebook, it might mean more of this, might mean more prayer, it might mean whatever the environment is. I was just thinking now, as I was saying that story, I was thinking now, when I was a teenager, I still am, I was all about church. We played hockey on a Saturday morning, but church was more important. So I never missed youth because I had hockey on Saturday morning. I was at youth till 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock at night. I was there all Friday. I was in the youth band. I was in the worship team. I was in whatever was going in church, every conference, that's where I was, kind of thing. And because of that, I had this culture, and I was actually thinking about this the other day as well. I was thinking, and I know it's not good to dwell on what was in the past, but I was kind of thinking like, yes, sometimes I wish it was like that. I wish I had that same feeling about church as I did when I was 15, you know? Maybe it's because I didn't have adult responsibilities in a house and a dog and bills to pay and whatever, so I wasn't working for those things or for a new car, because I mean, although I wanted a car, I was 15, wasn't getting one, so that didn't matter, you know. What mattered was where I was.
And also, but I think if I have to think back at when I just got saved, or when I got radically given my life to God, there was the amount of time I listened to sermons and listened to worship music and read the Bible was significantly more than what it was 5 years after that point. And I've had to go back to that, because that's the environment I want to be in. I want the Bible to shape my culture. So the only way the Bible is going to shape my culture is if I go sit in that environment, and I go sit and I read the Bible and I understand, because as you read the Bible and you build this picture in your head, in your mind and in your heart, whatever, you understand what happened there, and the way that they reacted in a good or a bad way is an example to how you should act in a good or a bad way. You know, like, oh no, I really shouldn't do that, or yes, I should be like Gideon, and you know, when God calls me, like, I should just go do it, you know, or like Joshua, or like Moses, or one of those guys.
I mean, Enoch was taken to heaven.
He
didn't
have to die
the pain of death because he was so close, with God.
He walked with God, and if
we can do that,
we have that, and
we have more.
We literally, because we're in the New Testament now.
We have more of that.
I was saying to Brandon, a very wise pastor once told me, a couple of years ago, he asked me, how close do I think I can get to God? And I said, I don't know. And he said, as close as you want to. And it's up to you how close you are with him, because he literally says, I think it's in the book of James, that draw near to me and I'll draw near to you. The closer we go to him, the more of him we'll experience, the more of him we'll see in our day-to-day lives. And that's why you get those people, man, you get these, like John in the Bible, or Peter, when they would walk and their shadow would heal people. Because that's the environment they were in. They were so living in heaven on earth that even their shadow would touch someone and they would get healed.
And that's the same with this circumstance or environment and culture that you... What culture do you want to be in? What environment do you want to be in? Okay? Whichever one you make. So if you want to be one of those whose shadows are healing people, you need to be in your word. You need to
spend time with the healer.
I don't mean in the church as in coming every Sunday. My point is, you need to be spending time with God. You want to be someone who's a great father and a great husband, like you've said before in many podcasts. Then be that person. Then be that person. I want to be a culture leader. So as a youth pastor and as someone who's doing that, I've got to do that. When we started doing senior youth recently, when we used to do worship and stuff, if I don't go up front and sit on the chair and worship, they're not going to worship because I'm not leading culture. I'm not being a culture leader. If that makes sense.
Yeah, it's like, to take a very blunt situation, like if let's say you have a drinking problem and you are trying to change the culture of drinking, the last place you want to be is a bar, because the culture or the environment you're in creates a culture that is drinking is promoted. Exactly. The more you drink, the better.
Exactly.
That's the culture that is created by that environment. And so if you want to change anything in your life, and I'm not against alcohol again, this is just an example. Abuse of anything is wrong. Abuse of eating too much food is gluttonous.
Yeah, exactly.
And so the thing is, like, if you want to change your culture, if you want to change the fruit in your life, change the environment.
Yeah.
What environment are you living in?
Yeah.
And
exactly.
you need to be that environment is here, but it's more here.
Yeah. And
it's in your heart, it's in your head. Mind. It's this thing inside
what
of
we
you.
Allow
your perception of the world you live in is what shapes the culture that bears fruit in your life.
Exactly. What you let your thoughts, how you let your mind run is how you're gonna feel, and how you're gonna out of the, what does it say? Out of the flow of the mind comes the words in the mouth, and if you want to live in a certain culture, you need to think like that. You need to
as a man space. Thinks in his heart, so easy.
Exactly.
And when you believe something in your heart, that's how you will be.
Exactly.
So the more time you spend with God,
the more you're going to think like that.
The more you understand actually who you are.
We've missed this, and we're realizing we missed this, or we forget about this. Jesus said to them, leave what you're doing and follow me.
Yeah.
Spend 24 hours a day with me.
Yeah.
And I'll change your culture. You know what I mean?
And I will make you fishers of men.
Exactly. You want to do that.
All of a sudden, the things on earth don't matter anymore.
Yeah.
The money system doesn't matter.
Exactly.
Keeping up with the Joneses doesn't matter. And you know what? They all had more than enough.
Exactly.
They all, they could, if you go read the story of like the clothes they wore and the feasts they had and the traveling that they experienced and stuff. They had money. They had access to money. So it's like God is not against that.
No, it's not about being poor. And
it's about your environment being
exactly.
different.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Don't think you can say
that's the flat story. That's it. Yeah. Lekker, guys.
Cool.
So be aware of your environment. Check you in the next one.